this morning. It is a week before, a couple days before Christmas. So hopefully everybody's having a good time. Probably getting ready to get done with work. Your kids are all off. So hope you guys are having fun. So we're going to stay with the same progression. Just work you guys through this stuff. And then, like I said, the start of the new year, then we'll work into something else. So here we go again. We're going to go ahead and remember, you guys, this is a collective. So take what fits. Or take what resonates. Don't make anything fit. And remember that this is just here to try and help you guys through these things. That's all it's here. It's just for advice. If it fits and helps, then I hopefully that it does. And if it does help and you want to know more, you know how to get a hold of me. So here we go. So we're going to do this one a little bit different because I think I've been doing them a little bit wrong. So we're going to go one card out of here, out of the shadow work deck. I see, I was trying to be a know-it-all. That's why that was still turned over. Rather than consulting inside of my phone. So, no, hypersensitive. So this is the hand that the collective has been dealt. Okay. Or at least whoever we're picking up on today, or whatever we're reading on today. Whatever energy this is that's coming in here to us. So now we're going to find out. Okay. And then we do. So we have hypersensitive. And then you have caregiver. So, what is somebody that's hypersensitive? Let's just think about that one, right? Somebody who's hypersensitive is somebody that probably overreacts to a lot of things. Or somebody that feels a lot of stuff too. There are a lot of people out there that, ooh, stomach just went crazy, feel everything that goes on. Kind of knows what's going on or how everybody feels, or there's certain people inside of who their moons are and stuff like that. Oh, we don't want these things in reverse. They came out that way, so I'm just keeping them that way for now. So hypersensitive caregiver. So somebody that's hypersensitive to people they care, or they're hypersensitive because maybe somebody, they're here to care for people and help heal people that maybe are hypersensitive, right? Because a caregiver, right, to a hypersensitive. The hand that somebody's been dealt inside of the collective is somebody, that's what they're here to do. That's what they're here to help somebody look into. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the flop. So then the flop will be the shadow work cards. Turn will be a true crime card. That will the turn will kind of be like a shift card, where the story's going to change into being. And then the river card is going to be the release of what you're going to release by getting through all this stuff and whatever we're performing or whatever we're working through here. Okay, so, but a hyperactive caregiver, either way you guys know, so, bleh. Hypersensitive and caregiving. Hypersensitive and caregiving. Somebody is hypersensitive too, though. They are somebody that they operate out of a wounded ego. They're always the person that feels that they're being picked on, that they're inside a little blacked out, like their own little bubble of the world, like nobody knows what they're going through, nobody understands what they're doing. Right? Like nobody wants to care about them, right? That's where we get the caregiver. Let's go that way now. Now that we see this. Okay, so the flop is bringing up, we see this a lot lately, that need for denial, and then emotional blackout and self-sabotage. So once again, that's that person that is so worried about everybody else that they're not worried about themselves. Right? They're not. It's self-neglect. It's inner discipline. Inner depletion, sorry. It's that when you're hitting this point, it's like you're so focused on, you're not focused enough on what you need internally that even the light's not getting far enough into you anymore. Look at how she's sitting. They're sitting in the light, but yet the side of their face that's in the light is still in the shadow. Just for the effect, you know what I mean? So, and then you hit the emotional blackout, which makes sense because when you hit this point of that much neglect and inner depletion, all of a sudden you do hit an emotional blackout. You hit a point where everything kind of eternally starts collapsing. Your belief in everything starts collapsing. What you want to do starts collapsing. Whatever you try and do is collapsing. Like even you just can't quite get. It's just an emotional thing. And then you turn into a thing where you almost start self-sabotaging yourself. Because then you start doing a little bit more of a destructive things. You start surviving habits or survival habits. So let's see. When somebody self-sabotages, what do? Normally they start blowing up. They have emotional outbreaks. What else would they do? They start losing their shit. They start losing relationships. They start losing their jobs. They start losing their friendships. They start sabotaging. They start blowing up bridges where they don't need to be blown up. They do things that they shouldn't do. They do things that are unpredictable, things that aren't right. So, let's take a peek now at the river, or the turn, sorry, which would be what's going to kind of help shift the story around a little bit for us here. There's two of them there. We asked for one. But it's kind of true. So I don't know. I'm going to keep them just because. And they came out in reverse too. So it kind of speaks to a thing of like a lie that was told by a cult. Right? Cult and lies. So whatever's going on with this, the reason why you end up doing these kinds of things is because of probably the different lies you've been fed over the years through different people that you know or different things that you know. So then those are the things that we're going to have to break you free of, is whatever is telling you these lies or whatever is going on with these lies. Because it came out like this. So unless you really look, you're not going to know. And then when you look, the cards are almost the same color all the way through. Boop. A single person. Almost like the magician card inside a tarot. The guy that created a false illusion in front of you. Or maybe the person was telling you different things to keep you out of some sort of a cult, hoping that you would stay away. But if we see through all these things, we start taking care of ourselves. We heal. By taking care of yourself, you're going to take care of the emotional shock. When you take care of the emotional shock, you're going to stop self-sabotaging. You're going to be able to take the criticism without becoming hypersensitive to what the people that care about you are actually saying. So that way you don't freak out. You don't hit this blackout point. You don't self-sabotage yourself. And then you don't have to go around telling lies to cults. Or telling lies to different people to justify why you're doing the things that you're doing. Seems pretty simple. Because a cult doesn't always mean like an organization or something like that. A cult can just be people, friends, a friendship, a cult. I don't want to say like you hang out inside of cults, but people may view them as cults of what people do and stuff along those lines, just because that light working frame, or wherever we're talking about the people that are doing this. But a cult could be your job, right? A cult can be anything. Okay, I needed one, it flipped out 3. I'm not going to run the big 3. I'm going to take the one that fell. So we're looking for what will be able to be done or lifted out at the end. All that unprocessed grief that you have will be taken care of. And that unprocessed grief is probably the one thing that is doing that or making that stuff all work and go. Because unprocessed grief is probably the single biggest killer, especially inside of the holidays, of people, of individuals. Because they're too scared to process their own grief, and then the holidays bring out even more grief, and so then it makes it even harder for them. Do you guys see why I'm working on this shadow working stuff as we're going through the holidays? I'm not doing it to be mean. I'm doing it because it's at a time where a lot of this stuff kind of goes on. This is a time of year where a lot of people get very lonely. This is a time of year where a lot of self-sabotaging goes on because of the emotions that are flying around. You may not see it, but it's there. You may not hear about it, but it doesn't mean it's not going on. Some people love the holidays, some people don't like the holidays. Some people want to celebrate them, some people don't. It's all a change in perspective and what you want. But once you stop self-sabotaging yourself, stop burning the bridges that are going on around you, you're going to come to find out that life's going to get a lot better, because that unprocessed grief is what's killing you right now. Once you get rid of all that unprocessed grief, or you process all the grief and get rid of it, because you have to process it, it's not going to go away. You got to go into the shadow and go dark and have maybe a couple dark night of the souls, you know what I mean, where you're crying yourself to sleep or whatever you're going to have to do. Your pain is going to be your teacher at that point. You're going to have to go in and you're going to have to get that retrospect of it. Yep. Get rid of that know-it-all defensive attitude. Get rid of that ego shield. And understand the pain is going to be your teacher to process out this grief. Once again, got the fixture down there on the bottom. If you're constantly trying to fix everybody else that's out there, you're never going to be able to process your own grief. So I'm going to keep it kind of right there. I don't know where we really ran. I did have that pause in the middle right there, but this way kind of worked out a lot better. I did enjoy it, and the message was a lot better and a lot cleaner for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for the shares, thank you for the likes, thank you for watching all the way through. If you so inclined and you do want a reading, go ahead and reach out and we can figure it out on how we can get it done. Only days I won't read on will probably be Christmas and Christmas Eve, just because I really won't be around. But I will do a live here coming up. I think I'm doing another past life lives. Maybe tonight. Sounds like fun. So, but I'll reach out to you guys. Have a great day. Thank you very much for tuning in.